wouldn't it be nice to have your own AI agent that has access to data that only you want to have it access to, private data that can be in your GitHub repository or perhaps saved in some other way? That's what we're going to be doing here. We are going to be using the Board Game Rulemaster AI repository that I've made here. We're going to feed in it some data, and then when we ask it a question, it's going to harvest from the data that we've put into it, and it's only going to answer based off of what it knows from there, so that our data is able to stay private. The data that we have for this is going to be in the data folder right here. So since it's a board game rule master, it needs to know all of the rules to various board games. Now there's thousands, tens of thousands of board games out there, so this is just a handful of them, and also some really good ones. And these are going to be PDF files that are here. And it's going to read through these, and it's going to extract its information from it. There are other ways for this data to be able to be understood, but I have chosen PDF for this demonstration. And this is the game, Cthulhu Death May Die. And it has all the rules right here, setting things up, rolling dice, how do your investigators die, and so on. So it's going to have all of that information here within the data. So now we're going to deploy this project. Here I have my Visual Studio Code Git Bash set up, and this is within the setup that I have with the Board Game Rulemaster. So I've cloned everything onto my local machine, and I've already done an AZ login. So now it's going to go inside of my Azure subscription, and it's going to create everything for it. So I just have to use AZD up. Going to create everything for me. So this is going to take a little while for it to do. It's going to be asking me a few questions. It's going to be asking me to confirm my subscription. It's also going to ask about what location I should create everything in. I also need to create a unique environment. I have already done that before, so it may not ask all of those questions because it remembers what I answered before. But I'm going to stop the video here and going to start it again when it's all finished. Now at this point in time, it has finished. It took a while, and it says right there that it took 16 minutes and 34 seconds to get all of this working. And if we, it gives the endpoint right here, which means where I can go to access my AI agent. We'll get to that in a moment. And up here, it shows all the logging that it's done to get everything up and started. If I come to my subscription on Azure, where I had to have one to be able to create all these things, it has this right here, the RG Board Game AI. The Board Game-AI was the unique environment name that it asked me for. And it created all of these resources, which are resources that will communicate with each other. And there's also the managed identities that give permissions so that these resources can work. So we can see everything right here, and this is all what the AZD up did. AZD up is a very good command line tool because it can take a lot of manual intervention that I would normally have to do on my own and puts it all together into just saying AZD up, start up the agent. So now let's go over to the AI agent. So let's get the endpoint that it gave us from the command line earlier. Now I have opened up the AI agent using the URL. And here it is. It says Board Game Rulemaster in the top left. And then it also gives us some questions here that we can ask it just to give you some idea about what to do. So with these questions, I'm not going to be specifying the game, so it's just going to have to guess what the game is. So I'm going to click what is the starting hand size for each player. And it's giving off a few different games here. There's some that it's missing. But you can see here that it takes the data that we inserted for it, which is inside of our storage account container on the Azure portal, and it looks through it, and then it gets information, tells us what the answer is, and then it gives references to that. So if I were to click one of these, such as the Dune Imperium, then it goes here, and it shows it here. Now, sometimes it will highlight it to show you exactly where it is that it says that, but there are two things with this that might be limiting that. First is that I've only put a PDF file on it, so it might be having some trouble scanning the PDF file. And then the other is that I'm just using a basic tier of this. If I were using a higher tier, then I might understand it better. But we can see the citation right here of the reference, so we can see that this is the data that we uploaded, and that's how it's getting its information. We can look at these over here, supporting content. And then it gives us the thought process right here, where it's giving the information about how it came to this conclusion. We can also go over to the developer settings, and we can change some information over here so that the AI agent will react differently. And we can also clear the chat right here. There's two buttons I've included. There's clear chat history, which is this red one right here. And then there's also the clear chat up here at the top right. So we can go ahead and clear it, and then we can start from scratch all over. And then maybe I can ask it another question, just so that I can clear up some room. It's like a guest that I was talking about Dune Imperium again, but there's also Dark Moon and Ticket to Ride that it's choosing to talk about. And this is the agent. Now, one debugging thing I want to point out here, since I was just figuring it out right here, is that when you are testing this out on your local machine, you can see that I have the PDF files, and then I have these MD5 files that are created on the left. So if it's your first time creating this, then you can see that it's going to create these MD5 files. If these exist and you are deploying it a second time, delete them. Because if you don't delete them, then it's going to have trouble uploading the data, and then your AI agent is going to complain that it has no data to work with.